Hello again. You're watching the South African Morning on DSTV Channel 43 and ETV. Thank you for joining us on this Friday morning. Now, in a world of endless distractions, attention is becoming one of our scarcest resources. Nearly half of adults say their attention spans have deteriorated, and 2/3 believe the next generation is faring even worse. Constant media multitasking is chipping away at our focus, mood and sleep. So how can we get back on track? Let's find out more about this from Professor Renata Skuman, convener of the Southern African Multidisciplinary ADHD Congress and head of the MBA in Healthcare Leadership at the Stellenbosch Business School. Prof, good morning. Welcome to the South African Morning, and thank you very much for your time. Well, it looks like our concentration and attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. Is it only because of the extended media multitasking, or are there other issues also at play?
It seems at this stage that it doesn't really become shorter, the scientific evidence show. However, it becomes more and more divided and distracted. So the problem that we see is with the ongoing massive screen time load that we expose ourselves to and the constant dopamine drain, that we interrupt it more frequently, we check our devices more frequently, but also that we become addicted. And then the consequences is that we cannot focus and sustain our attention. So it's more that our total amount of attention is the same, but it's way more divided. But we then experience it as we cannot concentrate.
I understand it also affects other parts of our lives. I mean, like sleeping and mood swings.
Yes, the studies clearly show, even studies dating back to the pre-COVID time in 2017, that show with excessive, what we call media multitasking or high multimedia consumption, that our concentration does deteriorate. So we're more distractible, we're more irritable, more anxious, more depressed. We do not sleep properly. And our motivation declines. So we often see that people with a screen time addiction present like other addictions. It looks like depression. I don't get up out of bed. Nothing interests me anymore. I don't experience any joy anymore. And it's specifically negative when this is happening during the teenage years, when people need to study and need to focus in class. So even the mere fact that a lot of schools do not have cell phone policies in place and children sit in class on phones is a huge worry.
Yeah, it must be a huge worry indeed, because it takes away from being present as well. And sadly, I understand some people, the first thing they reach out to when their alarms go off or when they wake up is their devices, and they are online immediately. But now let's look at the impact of what's happening on people who suffer from other disorders like ADHD.
Yeah, we can call it a double whammy for the people with ADHD, because ADHD already affects your ability to concentrate and not to be distractible and to be motivated and put things in place. Now you're constantly distracted as well, and your low dopamine is even lower. So it is really even more difficult. And as you mentioned, it impacts other aspects of our life as well. I think it's important to have a balanced view. Technology is not all bad. It does support us. And for people with ADHD, it can be a means of coping better in life and thriving if we use the digital tools to our advantage.
Yeah, I was just about to say, indeed, it's how we use that. I mean, to get back on track, we need to create that right balance. What other ideas do you think can help us at least create that balance, Prof, going forward?
I think it's all about boundaries and discipline. So making sure, having policies in place in a household, for example, from parents for the household, in terms of digital-free zones. There's no screens at the dinner table, for example, to have digital-free time, so no cell phones in a bedroom, a central place to charge devices, but also applications that you can use to monitor your own screen time and your child's screen time. It's also important to remember that we have to replace excessive media consumption, when we talk about media consumption, the screens, the devices, with other positive activities, having conversations in the household, exercising together, playing board games, having conversations. So it's so important that we as adults also role model healthy screen time behavior.
Thank you very much, Prof, for your time and insights this morning. Professor Renata Skuman from the Stellenbosch Business School.